All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chewin the BBQ Fat. Once again, Brian is out of town, and we thought that we would be able to make it work where he would be able to join us, but his reception is not good in Vegas, of course. So he's going to be joining like everybody else. He's going to be joining, watching on Facebook, and he's going to be hopefully commenting in the comment section. But I do have a guest interviewer, Wes Garrett, and I'm going to pull him up right quick. And Wes, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you? Glad to be on and another edition of Chewing the BBQ Fat.
Yes.
So excited, and especially excited to talk to these two guests that everyone has been talking about the last couple of weeks. So just looking forward to it. Want to make sure we take you guys as questions for them. Ask anything. We're going to set it up. If they don't want to answer, that's fine, but we'll definitely ask them because I definitely want two of the hottest cooks on the circuit right now.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us, Wes. I'm glad you are because, like I just mentioned, Brian is joining us from afar. He's on a work trip in Vegas, conveniently. So, and he's not able to join us. But I did want to brag on my hubby here. He did get one of these nice ribbons, and of course, he got it when I was not there. He seems to always do that on me.
Yeah, you need to start either leaving or this has got to kind of come full circle because he got his GC. You weren't there.
Yes.
He flew you guys home, and then he moves away from me during awards, and he gets a call. And so I just don't think he needs to be by anybody.
I guess. Well, I heard that's what you have a little.
I do.
Premonition about that. So I said, well, I guess, honey, I'm just not going to be able to join you at these barbecue contests. I'm bad luck, I guess.
She's out, Brian.
I'm out.
You and Jimmy.
But 10th place pork, so very proud of all the teams that got those ribbons. But these two guests that we're bringing on, I heard that they have some pretty heavy hardware. So, Wes, I'm going to be bringing myself down in just a minute. Before I do, though, Brian, let me know if I need to tell anything. I'm going to tell a little bit, and then I'll let Wes take it from there. Two things. We've got some contest deliveries coming up. Lyons, Georgia. We will have a delivery to the Lions, and then Tifton, Georgia are coming up. Those are local contests. I'm sorry, Wes, you guys from afar, we can't help you out, but check us out if you're going to those two contests in Georgia. And is there anything else that I need to say? I mean, I also need to brag on my children.
Yes.
Before I leave.
Oh, you almost left that out. You couldn't have done that.
I got to brag on them. Third place in the kids' queue, 6 to 10-year-olds, was Micah. And then Cole got 10th place. So they brought some hardware home and some ribbons, and we're proud of them. And I don't know if Brian mentioned last week, but they did make the local newspaper. They got 180 at Greenwood, and they did a little excerpt in our newspaper about that, and they talked about the Royal and how we were going. And so I'm hoping they'll do a little update and fill everybody in on their great wins there at the Royal.
They did so good, and it was so fun to watch Micah. And not even a lot of crap talking back and forth, but I saw Cole's face when Micah got the call, and I just knew then. I said, "You're just going to have to beat him up, man. That's the only way you're going to establish dominance back over your little brother, who 2 years in a row took you down at the Royal."
Yeah, so. And they use pretty much the same recipe, so
it was very, very similar.
Very similar, yeah. But enough about us. I'm going to let Wes take it from here. You guys, like I said, if y'all want to ask any questions, feel free to use the comments. Wes is going to be following those, and I might be able to help from the background as well. But Wes, would you like to introduce our guest tonight?
Absolutely. So I think anyone that has a pulse in the barbecue world knows the two that we're going to bring on. I don't think we could have brought on any other two out there that wouldn't have had all of our audience wanting to bring them on, and that's going to be Travis Duffy with Last Call Heroes out of South Dakota. And you have Bill Hine with Triple H, one of the hottest cooks out there, coming on. I mean, we can't keep him out of the South. I'm trying to keep him in that St. Louis area, but he keeps tricking down here and messing with us. So these guys right here, as I stated, two of the hottest cooks on the circuit. They came into Kansas City, cleaned up. I was very proud, Bill. I was sitting very close to you when this happened. And I like all of us, we become NASA engineers when names start coming out. We start hearing, and we're calculating. And the way it started popping off in Invitational, I was getting nervous for you because I knew you had it. But we're going to get into that as well. And then the next day, the big one, Travis comes in there and just absolutely cleans everyone's clock. 3 calls, am I right? I know it was 2. I want to make sure it was 3.
Yeah, we got 3 calls in the open. Pretty crazy.
That's just unreal. So I think you knew on that 3rd call. I don't believe anyone else got 3 calls. And again, I could be wrong. I know someone ran up to me and was like, man, he got 3 calls in that when we knew he had won it. But awesome job, fellas. I mean, just absolutely killed it. We're going to get in and talk about that a little more. But first, if I could, Bill.
Hold on, Wes.
Yeah, sorry.
You can brag on yourself, too. Yes, you can.
Well, it was our first trip out there. I will just say this. When you bring in the 2 world champions here, it's kind of hard to brag. But we did finish the Invitational top 15. So we took a 7th place brisket call. We didn't do bad at anything. We were right there in all of them. And we got to walk the stage, tied for 13th, ended up getting 14th. And so we were happy. The biggest thing we wanted was to get a call. Yes. And what I've told everybody that I spoke with is the energy that you get when you're in front of that crowd. And we didn't even get on the big stage. We got to the front of the stage. So I can only imagine walking up. I told my wife, and she sat there. I said, man, this energy is unbelievable. And I can't describe it. I think Bill, Travis, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like nothing I've ever experienced in my life at a barbecue contest. So I was hooked then. And then we have been qualified to come out there the last 3 years. And we never wanted to do it because we just didn't want to make the drive. And after that, getting that call, we really kicked ourselves in the butt for not making it. I was like, you're not guaranteed to get up there, but just that 1 time or 2 times we got up there, we're hooked. So as long as we can go out there, we're going to be there every year.
Yeah, I said, if you ever get the opportunity, like if you win a grand like we did, we won on the best year we could. Definitely take advantage of it. And on that note, I'm going to let you take it away, Wes. Thank you for coming on. I will be in the background, but thank you guys for joining us, Bill and Travis. Thank you for giving us your time on a Monday evening. So let me bring me down. Y'all go for it.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, guys, thank y'all for coming on. It's got to be the hottest show of the week to have the 2 world champions, newest world champions out here. Bill, I'm going to jump in here with you first just because your contest was first. It was the Invitational. Don't want to get long-winded on the question. Just tell me, how did your cook go, man? How did you know that you felt that was your night? Did you have one of those cooks? Was it something where you just was completely surprised? Just give us a little background of leading up to the awards of how your night went.
Really, it was kind of a surprise. I mean, we had a good cook. We did our thing. We did what we normally do. There was a few things that weren't quite what I wanted, just because I thought everything needed to be absolutely perfect there. But in that kind of field, it's just like when Travis won. In that kind of field, man, you never know. It's almost throwing darts at the wall, and there's a lot of luck involved. And so we knew we turned in a good cook, but we got fortunate and we had a lot of good tables too. So.
No, absolutely. So like I said, I was privileged to be very close to you. So I saw you. Were you as tense as I thought you were when it started getting?
Oh my God. Yeah. As they were calling the overall, I mean, I was sitting there rocking back and forth chair trying to keep my lunch. My stomach was turning so hard, and just that big knot in your stomach. Cause in the back of my mind, I knew, but at the same time, you just never know, because we had 3 calls, but what happened to chicken, where was it at? Yep. If it was DAL, we may not even made top 20, so
and that
you just don't know. Yeah, and it's nerve wracking sitting there. I don't know, Travis. You can probably speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, just like you had just mentioned, that category you don't have, no matter, even if it's a big show and you got 3 calls and most days at a field, with that many teams and the likelihood that a lot of them are going to maybe get some calls but have some trouble in some other categories. But you're sitting there and you're like, well, do I have a foreign object DQ? And that one I didn't get a call, and they just didn't get time to come over and tell me about it. So you don't ever dare think you got it, even no matter how much you do. Because you just never know. It's the Royal.
Absolutely correct. So, I mean, again, there's so many teams there, especially in the open, 470 plus teams. If you did do bad in that one category, as Bill stated, I mean, you can drop, tens and 20 of spots just by that. But, well, I failed really because, Bill, I know you more personal than I know Travis. Travis, me being from Mississippi, you being from South Dakota, we don't really cross paths a whole lot, but obviously I know who you are. I know the team. I know the name. I know where you stand on the port roll as well. Totally getting there. But give us a little background for the people down in my area that maybe know you but don't get to see you a lot. Give us your story, what got you in, where you're from, how you become a powerhouse out of South Dakota.
Sure. A lot of people outside of our region don't really know us very well and how we got started, but it's probably really similar to the way a lot of people did. I've always had a knack or a love for outdoor cooking. It goes back to us being farmers. When I was younger, we also had a hog operation. Also, we got out of the hog business quite a few years ago, but we used to be involved in it. My dad used to cook with the South Dakota pork producers quite regularly, and they would traditionally cook pork loins, and they would kind of the same concept back in the day that we do with our Gateway drum smokers this day for those of us that cook on them. But they would basically just build this cinder block pit and basically just put a fence over the top of it, these panels, and they would cook these loins right over the hot coals, and the fat would drip on them, and it'd give them this amazing flavor. That's probably it's not really traditional barbecue, but that's where my outdoor grilling probably started as a kid, cooking with them. And as I got older, we just decided that we wanted to play around with actually traditional barbecue. Started cooking ribs and pork butts and briskets and things of that nature just for ourselves for holidays. And before you knew it, there was a backyard contest here that a bunch of friends just tried to convince me that we should go cook, and we ended up doing it and won the first time out. As soon as you do that, you're pretty much hooked.
You're done.
We did some backyard for a year and jumped into the KCBS, started kind of doing 5 to 6 a year at the beginning, and just kept growing and growing. And I think we're going to get to 20 this year, maybe.
That's awesome. And obviously, I always want to go and look. I stay on barbecue data. I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Just I want to see where we're trending. Obviously, I've seen Bill where you've done it. Travis, I've checked out. You're very consistent. What I've seen, and I mean, you're going to be right there in the top 10, top 5 about every contest. What do you attribute that to? I mean, it's obviously cooking more. I mean, you're not doing 40 contests a year, but I've seen a path where you've just gotten extremely consistent. Classes, mentors. I mean, is it just cooking more? Give me what you feel that is.
It's a combination of everything, and I do take a class every winter from all of what I consider my barbecue mentors, or the people I look up to. I don't know which classes I haven't taken yet. There's a couple I know I'm looking at maybe this year going and taking, but I've taken a lot of them. I've had a lot of influence from a lot of really good cooks in my program. Along with that, and then just knowing that between my professional career and just I just don't have the finances to do it. Getting out and doing 30 to 40 is really not a possibility for me. So I have to make everything I do count. I don't know if that means that I prepare harder than anybody else, because I'm pretty sure all these guys are working their butts off preparing just as hard as I am. But I just know every time I cook, it has to count, because I'm probably going to get, half the opportunities a lot of these guys are going to do. A lot of the consistency part probably in my life comes from probably my history in auto racing. I used to be involved in dirt track racing as a young kid in high school and even some of my college years. Worked on a lot of sprint cars over the years and knew the the attention to detail that it takes to run a car on a track like that when you got somebody's life in it, and the amount of prep and everything it takes to build a program in that realm and have it consistent. Having some background in that, I think, definitely helped me build a program in barbecue that was kind of based on the same things.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, look, I do want to mention, not sure what you're looking to do. I just want to tell all the audience out there that for the Atlanta Barbecue Store Classic that we're going to be having early part of next year, we are going to be holding a class. It's going to be Robert with Smoke Me Silly, Paul Rooters and Tutors, Carrie Chastain, and myself. We're going to be taking one category each and going over that. So anyone in the Southeast or about want to come down, I think that'd be a great class. Getting prepared, just have it out there. So just put that on your calendars if you'd like to come by and learn a little bit. Bill.
Yes, sir.
I want to know. I know. Again, I got to keep letting the audience understand that just because I know, I got to kind of get your information out there. But I know you're a drum cooker. Have you always been a drum cooker?
No.
Really? What did you get started? No. And when did you make this change?
Last year was our first year on drums. So in 2020.
Wow. Okay.
Prior to that, I was cooking on a homemade offset that I had built myself here at the shop. And then we'd gotten the drum to do chicken on. I took Brad and Tim's class, and next thing you know, I've got 4 Gateway drums in the trailer, and we're cooking on all drums. So
very nice, very nice. And obviously, did you do okay on the offset, or was it just when you changed the drum you just started skyrocketing?
No, we did well on the offset. We took a lot of that and converted it over to drum. You got to change your process a little bit, but it took me a little while to get a hold of brisket and pork. Those were the two I struggled with on the drum the first part of 2020. But we just did a lot of practicing. Every weekend through the winter we were cooking something on the drum, whether it was chicken or pork or ribs or whatever. And that's what it takes to get consistent, is just to practice.
Absolutely correct. So, and I'll ask both of you guys this. I understand, and Travis, I failed to ask you. You're cooking on what exactly? Is it drums?
I got an Outlaw Smokers 26-inch barrel. I think he's building mostly 28s these days, but I got 26-inch by 60 Outlaw, and then I bring a 30-gallon Gateway drum along also.
Okay, and you're cooking, I'm guessing, a specific meat on that. I'm getting chicken. Could I guess right on that?
A little different, actually. I'm using it to basically just set sauce and have an extremely hot pit sitting there. If I need to blast something fast, it's just ready to rock and roll for me.
No, that's actually really smart. And you've cooked on that. I know you said I heard on one of your other shows you did some Traegers and stuff that you started with, or. Okay.
Yeah, we used to cook on some. We used to bring 2 Gateway drums in a Yoder pellet cooker. Flavorized on the drums and wrapped to the pellet cooker. Worked great for us. We just got to the point where we got a porch trailer. We didn't want to mount anything with electronics on it, just the elements outside. So we ended up going to an Outlaw Smokers and been pretty happy with it.
Okay. Well, I filled a lot of muck up on here, but I want to ask. I talked to Bill about this. I want to hear about your open big win, man. I mean. Super excited for you. Again, 3 big calls. I think when I heard your name, that last one, I was like, all right, everybody around me kind of called you. Was like, well, he's got this. How'd your cook go? Did you think it was that good?
I'll just kind of tell you how the dynamic of our weekend went a little bit.
Please do.
It was a roller coaster of a weekend to say the least. Now, I'll just kind of start with the Invitational. We felt just kind of like what Bill said. Felt we had a pretty normal cook for the Invitational. We can always find a couple things here and there that you wish would have went your way, but didn't, But, just like Bill had mentioned, we got a field of badass cooks. No matter how good of a cook that you had, that field was capable of having 700s down to like probably 85th place or more, given the amount of talent that was in that field. But you go to awards, and you hope for the best. You hope you land on the right tables and things go, but it didn't go our way on the Invitational. Thought we had a good cook, but they just didn't like our food that day. But I was sitting about 30 foot behind Bill, and I knew what was about to happen. I also had a reserve grand champion is my good buddy Kevin Huber with Sin Circle Barbecue, probably one of my best friends in barbecue. We've cooked against alongside each other so many times. So my disappointment, I put it to the back because I mean, Bill's a good guy. We've cooked against each other in the past, and I could see it coming a year ago. Them guys were cooking darn good. Yes. And when he won the Invitational, didn't surprise me one bit. I was happy for him, and I was happy for my buddy Kevin. I went and shook his hand, gave him a big old hug, and just kind of told him that I hope you guys have a fun time partying tonight, but I had to get some sleep because I had some business to get taken care of on day 2. But, we can all say that, but it's hard to
you
get after.
Definitely took care of business.
Yeah. So we ended up going back. We don't have living quarters in our trailer, so we get a hotel. Went back to the hotel that night and just kind of chilled out for a little bit, got some sleep, and come back the next day with an attitude that it was a new day and that we needed to get after it. And I would say that our cooks between the 2 days were pretty similar. I don't know that anything really stood out over the other. Just a different set of judges. And, I got my theories about, we've always a little bit struggled in the Invitational. And I know that the Invitational is kind of, leans towards or heavy on the master judges, so they're, a lot of those MCBJs have judged for a lot of years. And maybe I'm going down a weird rabbit hole with this, but I kind of feel that 2020 and going forward is a different style of barbecue that we turn in than we have 2019 in the past. It has a lot to do with what I feel the demographic of our judges through a pandemic. We got younger people judging now versus some of the older ones, and you kind of see it. I got friends who are MCBJs, so anytime I'm at a contest and they're there, when they come over and after judging, first thing I do is quiz them. So how was the groceries today? And most of these guys here are MCBJs that have judged for a long time, and they'll tell you like, well, we had one brisket that just stood out, and the other ones were okay, and one that was really bad. And then you ask them, well, how was the flavor of that brisket that you really liked? It was tender, so it was good. But these 2020 and beyond, I don't. Bill can maybe tell what he's seen, but I have never gotten so many 9s on tenderness and 7 on taste that I have from 2020 and beyond. It used to be that tenderness wins contest. Now I believe tenderness gets you to the point of winning, but you still have to now give them some flavor. They want to taste some smoke. They want to taste some pop now because it's a little bit younger. I think flavor matters to some of these new judges more than some of the older ones. And I could be completely wrong on that, but it's my theory.
No, I completely agree. Let me just say this. I didn't mean to cut you off, Bill. I've had this discussion 1,000 times with a good buddy of mine. It used to be sort of you kind of wanted to have that average barbecue, middle of the road, not really ding yourself. And now these judges, and I don't know, Travis, if it is because it's a new generation of judges, maybe COVID, COVID has knocked the taste buds out of some of these judges. I joke, but they do want that pop. And it seems like when we overdo it with some of these, we get better scores. So I don't know. Maybe this is just a trend. Bill, what do you think?
I think there's some definite merit to that. I never put together the flavor being so much different as far as the scores being lower or whatever and needing that much more pop. But I think the younger judges do change things in the way you do it. And what we were turning in 19 is probably not going to work nearly as well today.
Right.
So,
agreed. So. Yeah, I definitely have found that. I don't know if it goes back. Have no clue. We're going to keep rolling with it now. I'm probably a little going overboard with the flavor until they tell us not. We'll get that. But one thing I wanted to ask personally, you guys come into this. Everyone's been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. You take these 2 big wins. What does that do for you? I mean, obviously, everybody in barbecue world knows who you are. They didn't already before. Are you guys getting inundated with people hitting you up now? Is the sponsorship coming in there? How's that changed to the aspect of that? I mean, I'm sure people are coming after you now like, hey, just mention my product. Is any of that coming on board, or is it starting to ramp up?
I haven't seen any of that. I mean, the biggest change is doing things like this. I think I've been on 3 or 4 now this week, but haven't had any sponsorship stuff come up or anything like that. So
I've just set you up, guys. these are two world champions. If you're not going to get behind a world champion now, if you've got a product out there and you think it'll help out, I mean, hit them up. I mean, these guys right here are prime for the picking right now. If that's even what you guys, I see you got the real man meat. I'm sure you used a lot of his product, Travis. Great. Aaron's got some phenomenal stuff. I know, Bill, you use a lot of Chris Schaefer's and Heavy Smoke. So no, I definitely think you guys deserve that. World champions. Got anybody out there? Like I said, it's time to hit them up. Let them use your product. So
yeah, I've basically been getting a ton of messages and calls from all of our barbecue friends and family. I guess I haven't really been focused a whole lot on worried about if people are hitting me on sponsors. They may not. I don't think I've really noticed it. Sponsors are a major part of our program. We couldn't do without them. I'm very thankful for the sponsors I do have. Of course, I'm repping Man Meat tonight. Aaron and I are good friends. We've become good friends over the years. And I run a lot of people's products, but our flavor profile is primarily based off of Aaron's products, and we're proud to run them. Also, a little bit of Von Mitchell, Joe Bob's Barbecue, if you remember him at all. He's got a great all-purpose rub on the market. Started using it a couple of years ago, mixing it with my Man Meat rubs, and I got this trifecta that I mixed together, and I really enjoy it. Scoring pretty well with it for me.
Hey, if it works, run with it. Where are you going to go now, Travis? Are you going to come down any further south? Where's your cutoff line? I don't see you down here a lot. You ever thought about coming down and cooking our area?
Yeah, I don't really have a cutoff line, especially last year in 2020. We wanted to cook so bad when things started getting canceled. I would have went anywhere to go cook. So we don't really have one. If there was a contest, and I have a tendency to not look out of my region as much as I should. There was a $50,000 purse in Tennessee, and the week before it, I didn't even know about it. I would have went and cooked that in a heartbeat had I known it existed. I mean, I knew it probably filled in the first 10 minutes it was out there, but I need to do a better job of looking even beyond. I don't really have a region because I cook out of South Dakota. We have 4 contests in South Dakota and some in surrounding states, but if I want to get in some numbers, I got to travel. I've been down to Kansas and Missouri a few times this year, and I kind of include them in my region. Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, Colorado. I've been to a ton of states this year. I forget where I've been.
Right. Well, maybe we can get you guys committed right here on the show to come down to the Atlanta Barbecue down in Georgia early part of next year. I know Brian is making that thing absolutely. What he's doing for the charity, the purse, everything that's going into it is going to be absolutely a top-notch contest. Would love to have the best of the best there. I think that brings in more people. They want to go up against the best, see where they stack. Hopefully we can get you guys looking at that. And Brian, you have to tell me again whenever. I know you said you're working out the dates exactly. Lawrenceville, Georgia. We'll get that to you, but it's going to be, I believe, in February. I could be wrong, but it's going to be early year.
Awesome. Well, it's our goal to get down there more. Fortunately, with the Open, we got an auto of the jack off of that. Something that I didn't know if I'd ever be able to go cook. It's a tough one to get into. Just winning doesn't get you in that. You got to win enough to get a draw, and that's a tough game for somebody like me who doesn't cook as many to play. So it's a game I just haven't been playing. I've been focusing on the Royal and the KCBS Invitational and being able to get into the jack and go experience that. Looking forward to it for sure.
And Bill, you're going to be there as well. I think all 3 of us will be there, so that'll be fun. Maybe we can have a adult beverage together and talk about it. And I would love to be able to be the trifecta of a world champion after that. If you guys can just sandbag just a little. I mean, you've already had your fun. Let's hold tight. But yeah, you did all this, and now you got to gear up to go after another one, and that's going to be exciting. And I know we had vacation that we had to move around because. As you just said, Travis, we didn't expect to get drawn. We've had our bung in there, and you got to be good, but you got to be lucky, probably more lucky than good. And people have had their bung in there for 20-something years and never cooked it. So we are definitely ecstatic to do that. You guys going to be cooking the same stuff? You going to change it up or bring what got you there?
I'll let Bill go on that. My invite isn't until next year, so I get to watch you guys cook this year.
Okay, I thought you were coming this year for some reason.
No, we didn't get in.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say I'm sad about that, but what about that, Bill? You just bring in what you cook, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna show up and do the same thing we always do, and treat it like any other contest. I think that's the only way you do well at a big one. When you start changing stuff and doing special things because you're at a bigger event, it just messes up your cook, in my opinion.
I agree wholeheartedly. You almost got to treat these like they're just the 25 team down the road contest. And if you start looking at this thing, because look, this was our first year out at the Royal. Finally, we decided to go, and I'm not ashamed to sit here and tell both of y'all, I was starstruck. I was overwhelmed. I did not imagine that there would be that much stuff going on, so many shows and events that you're invited to go, and it kind of took me back to where my wife Hannah was, Wes, just don't worry about it, go to this and then back into the trailer and just shut it all off. It was just too much for me. I don't know if your first time out there that was the same way. Bill, I'm not sure if this was your first time or if you've been before, but it was very overwhelming for us.
Well, I assume you're talking about the Royal because you were breaking up earlier, but yeah, this was our second time out. So the first time, I agree, it was pretty overwhelming, and all the teams and big names that you seen on TV, and like Tuffy Stone and Myron Mixon and all them, and just it was a lot to take in when you're a new cook and whatever. Because our first time was in 19, so we'd only been cooking on at this level for like 2.5 years at that point. So
you already kind of had it out of your system, knew what to expect. I think I was the third person in the track that day. I had to work as well and get in there and I get set up. They said they were going to open the gates at 8. I was there at like 6:40. The guy let me in. But yeah, it was unbelievable. So I'll tell anybody that's listening, if you have a chance to go to the Royal, please take it. First of all, you're not guaranteed to be able to go outside the open. If you ever get a chance to do the Invitational, make the drive. It is worth it. Even just for the party alone, it's worth going out there. One of the best events I've ever been to in my life. So I think these two guys would agree with that as well. Just a phenomenal cook. But I do want to ask you guys, I know when you got started, I mean, somebody had to be that person you looked at. Somebody had to be that mentor that got you into it. I don't know if you guys watch Barbecue Pit Masters like me and just felt, oh, I can do that. What's one person, one team, or even if it's a couple people, who got you into it outside of the TV show that you watch? Everybody's going to look at, Brad. They're going to look at, Myron Mixon and Tuffy Stone. But is there anyone else that got you guys into it? It kind of mentored you to get you where you are now? And Bill,
I think for me, I don't really think so. We started out just at the local rib cooks because my cousin was a promoter one, so he wanted us to come cook it, and that got us hooked, and we just progressed up. And so to say I had somebody getting started, I wouldn't say that. I mean, our first KCBS, I didn't know who anybody was. Brad and Tim and several others were there, and I had no clue. Looking back at the teams list now, from when we did our first one, it's like, wow, we were in a bunch of heavy hitters, so, but.
Absolutely. You didn't realize the hornet's nest you were in when you got there.
Not at all.
A year later,
not at all.
Good Lord, the people I was cooking around. Travis, what about yourself, man? Who got you in around you?
Kind of the same way Bill was just talking about. My first contest that I cooked, I didn't know too many of the competitors that I was going to be competing against that day. It's funny, it was actually not that long ago here. I went back to barbecue data and dug up the results from the very first contest I cooked, which was Huron, South Dakota. The South Dakota Barbecue Championships in Huron was my first KCBS in the spring of 2014. My first contest, I got 2 calls and got 6th overall my first trip out. And I was looking at the score sheet today. 8th place sat Buffalo's Barbecue, Donnie Teal. The first contest I cooked against Donnie, didn't even realize it. Donnie's somebody I look up to a lot today. And another one that was in that field that won the contest, who's become a very good friend of mine and a mentor. Kind of, I wouldn't say we don't really exchange as far as full-blown recipes, but we bang ideas off each other. Anybody that knows the name I'm about to pronounce knows that he keeps his cards pretty close to him, and that's Mr. John Nilgis with Parrot Head Smokers. He's probably someone that has helped me out a lot mentally over the years, just kind of just helping me become everything that barbecue needs, what you need to be as a cook to win. You know, it's not just recipes, it's a process, it's a mental game. It's, you know, there's a lot to it to compete at the level that we compete at. And I have to credit John for a lot of that, just the conversations we had, just listening to him and what he says. It taught me a lot.
That's great. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. No, a lot of people want to know kind of who got you started into that. And again, I got into it, and I had a lot of great cooks around me, and watching TV, and then I just got to a point where, like you, I jumped into it. And our first contest, we were in when Chick, Swine, and Bovine, and Booty Q, and some of the good teams around here. We didn't know what we were doing. We got a third place port call, finished 7th overall out of 40 teams, and I was upset because I was 7th. I felt like a loser, and I didn't realize how good that was. And finally, one of my buddies who had been in it a while was like, "You have no idea what you just did." And I was like, "No, I mean, I was only 7th, man. That's terrible." He was like, "You have no idea who you cooked around." So from that point on, and we got that call. I hate to admit how much money we spent on this game that we love to play in this food sport. It's a shame, but it's really fun. I enjoy being around you guys, and it's a family away from family. And anybody wants to get into it, like I said, I urge you to jump in it, and you meet some great people. And I haven't met anybody yet that hasn't been over backwards to help us. So, and I'm sure, I know, Bill, I've asked you questions. You not shied away from it. And I appreciate that. And Travis, I'm pretty sure if I were to do that to you, you'd do the same way. So,
Absolutely. I've helped a lot of cooks out over the years, and especially just starting to get into it. It's kind of, a lot of people see the side of me on, you know, anybody knows I'm pretty vocal about my opinions and passionate about it. But at the end of the day, I guess maybe I have a trophy that maybe can actually put this. I've always told people I'm kind of the Tony Stewart of barbecue. I'm going to probably speak my mind, and some people aren't going to like it. But at the end of the day, I'll give you the shirt off my back when you need it. So, you know, I do my best to give back to barbecue as much as I can. I've always told people, don't be afraid to ask. And I mean, to the point, I don't even care if I give you what I do. You still got to cook it yourself. So, I mean, I don't feel disadvantaged by giving somebody some information, because at the end of the day, they still got to make it work for them. Every one of us has got our own cook style. I've taken more classes than I even remember, but every one of those, you don't go to the class and just change your whole program. You go to that class and you watch that cook go through his program, and you ask the questions that you have when you're not understanding something, and you just learn what they're doing, and you look at that program when you're done, and you ask yourself, what could I put into mine that I can gain from it?
Right.
And, you know, prime example, my teammate, one of my teammates that was at the Royal, his name's Ardell. He just started cooking KCBS himself just this last midsummer. He jumped in, so he's cooked 3 contests so far. He's got a 6th, a 5th, and a reserve grand champion. He beat me to get. Well, I think he beat. Well, no, of the 3, I was at 2 of them. I took 1 weekend off. You know, and I don't even know what he's doing as far as my program is concerned. I just know that he's watching me cook a bunch, and he developed himself a program. He's cooking on drums. I'm cooking on offset, so he can't run it to a T. He's got to find a way to make it work for him, and he's doing it to the point where now I'm starting to ask him questions. I think he's gotten 3 brisket calls as a rookie, and now it's like, hey, are you running my brisket wrap, or are you doing something different?
Nice. And that's the great thing about it is, you know, I will tell you, I cook on an old hickory, and there's not many big name teams. I would say there's some out there, but I don't go to a class, and I've been to different classes where they cook on offset, they cook on drums. I'm really there looking for a tip, 1 or 2. I don't know about Bill, Travis. I mean, you're not there to learn everything and copy everything. You're really there to pick up a couple tips. So I am the same way. I do 1 class a year. I'm looking for the new one I'm going to go to this year, regardless if we're going to do a class or not. I think if you're not doing continuing education, you're falling behind. You may pick up one thing, but it may be something that can help push you over the top, because I don't know if you would agree with me or not, we're all so close. I mean, I've judged. Me and my wife are also CBJs, and I have sat there on that table and literally had to think, had to find something to what is this? Which one did I think? I know this one goes off of its own merit, but God, they were so close. It's very difficult. So, in saying that, I'll turn around and just ask. And sorry, Bill, you're about to say something.
No, I was just going to agree with you. I think we take a class a year too, and I think you don't always go for the recipes or whatever, but it is kind of nice to have those notes when you're struggling in something, and you need a little help. Go back and look up brisket from 3 or 4 classes you've taken and see what they're doing in common, and maybe figure out that little thing that you're doing wrong. That you could make that little tweak and get yourself back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I'm going to go ahead and put both of you guys' feet to the fire tonight. You don't have to, but anytime I help sub host the show, I ask everyone, because everybody's tuning in here to see if they can get one secret from you guys. What is one thing you wouldn't mind parting with that maybe you don't tell everybody? One little secret that can help a team out. Because I got what I call Bill Purvis. That's my guy. I call him Dirty Bill because of his drums. He's asking, is there any pro tips for a Texan? I don't think he needs any help, but let's see if we can help him out with something tonight. Travis,
you go first on this one, Travis. You got me take it.
Oh man, now I'm trying to think of I'm not thinking about what I don't want to give you. I'm thinking about what I can get you the most out of one answer.
Good point. Good thinking. Bill doesn't need any help. I mean, that guy's he's going to be up there with you guys for long anyway.
I know Bill probably is already aware of this product because he's pretty good friends with Aaron. But I know from my own perspective and a couple other cooks, we brought a product to the Royal that is still kind of in a testing phase with Aaron and Man Meat called a home style rub. And that rub straight up threw down last weekend. It was. We've been playing with that for a while, and we played with it a little bit more. And another cook tried something on the Invitational side one day, and I would be lying if I told you I didn't go a little heavier handed with that a little bit throughout the cook on Sunday. But when Man Meat Homestyle comes out, you guys are going to want to try it. It's a SPG style rub, but it's got some flavors popping that some of the other ones don't have, and you're going to love it. And I'm glad that I kind of have access to it for a little while before all you guys do.
Aaron, you can thank that inbox being filled because of Travis, because I promise you they're going to be asking for this rub now.
Well, if they don't, I'll just keep running it. That's all right.
You don't care, right?
No, you guys can run it or not. I'm going to keep running it, though.
Oh, that's awesome. And
that's not me as a sponsor saying that. That's just me personally. But
I mean,
you guys are going to love it when it comes out.
So, I mean, I think anybody would pretty much copy your whole repertoire right now. Bill's as well. All right, Bill, you got to throw down on one, man. You've been too good and consistent of a cook. Again, we don't want to. We're full down here at all these contests, so stop looking. But give us something.
We'll be in the South. I think the one thing that I would do that's not one of my sponsors. I mean, I'm a big proponent for heavy smoke and Smoking Ghost. We use that on just about every meat. But the one thing you might want to try if you haven't tried yet that we're not sponsored by is 999 bovine injection for your brisket. It will take you to the next level.
Noted. I've been.
How's that?
I think the Bus Barbecue does pretty good with that as well.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah, they've been killing it. And you've been doing pretty well in brisket as well. So that's great. Thank y'all for that. Seriously, you got people. I know we call, we network, we try to find out. We want to ask the best, and sometimes you're really nervous to ask people. So I like to put you guys on the spot. It'll help one team. But at the same time, Travis, I'm going to jump back to what you stated, and it really mocks what. In my area, I grew up with Heath Riles in this area. He ran this area for forever. I know he's kind of backed out, but he told me one time at a contest, I'll tell you whatever, because I'm going to tell you everything I do, and I'm still going to beat your butt with it. So you got to cook it. You got to make it your own. It's not being it's not being cocky. He knows it. He knows how to run it. I think you're the same way. So giving a couple tips out there, it's not going to mess your game up. And I really appreciate you guys.
Not at all. I'm mentioning Heath. We were sitting there for the open. I actually didn't. He kind of signed it up late for the Royal. I didn't see him on the initial list, and they called his name for, I believe, ribs, and he walked right by me. And so I was glad to be able to shake his hand and see him at the Royal. Been a while since I saw Heath, so it's good to see him.
That guy's a legend. He is.
He's a good cook.
Last minute.
Yeah. It would. I hope I will never have a resume like him because he's crossed sanctions and kicked butt and MBN and all kinds of stuff. But I look up to Heath. He's a good dude.
No, he's a very great guy. Hey, and before I go on, I'm going to help Bill out here. He's about to come out with a new chicken rub. You guys are going to have to get on here. So the chicken grind. Maybe I'm going to be. I'm the first to mention it, but it's going to be hitting the market here soon. And I think Bill Purpose does pretty good in chicken. Maybe we can have Bill on here soon and have him talk about that. How about it, Bill?
I gotta say something.
Be mad at me for mentioning it. So
I gotta say something about Bill. It's been fun watching him progress in KCBS. Last year, we cooked Enid, Oklahoma, in August. In Oklahoma, in August is hot. I learned that. It's probably the third time I've been to Oklahoma my entire life. We went there and cooked, and I believe it was Bill's first time, at least that year, cooking KCBS. I don't know if he had done much before, but he kind of told me it was his first cook, and I think the guy got 2 calls, and I think he had reserved one within a couple 3 from that contest, and that shows skill right there. So it won't surprise me one bit when Bill does special things in KCBS.
Oh, absolutely!
I would agree with that.
Blowing up. Well, he's one of the few that'll come in here and he's taken off. And he's just a good person as well. I think, Bill, we've given you enough airtime, buddy. You don't need the help. Everybody knows who you are. Look, tell me some of the new people that go in and watch the show, and we do hear that there's a lot of new teams or teams that have just done 1 or 2 contests. They want to come in again. I asked what I asked just a moment ago because that's the feedback that I've gotten is get something out of what, not getting any more out of you, but what's something you could help a new team with? I mean, if they're starting out, and you really want to take them and just say, hey, do this, don't do that. Just give a quick synopsis of how you would help a new team. And it doesn't matter who goes first. I think it'd be good coming from you too. Bill, how about you go, if you don't mind?
I mean, things to help a new team. Find somebody to cook with maybe the first time. And I know we'd be willing if, somebody came up to me and wanted to cook with us and, to learn. I'd be more than willing to help somebody out. And, I think most KCBS teams are. I didn't do this all on my own and figure it all out. We've had a lot of classes. I've had some, mentors along the way that I make a phone call when I'm having trouble, so I think that's the biggest thing. Go out and meet some teams, go to a contest, try to cook with somebody, and learn a little bit about it, get somebody to help you along your way.
Great advice. So we've got Aaron, Richardson on here that is doing her first contest this weekend in Casper, Wyoming. And I'm telling you guys, what you say really helps out. Look, Aaron, if you've got anything you want to ask, I'm sure you can reach out to those guys that can help you out. Myself, we want to make sure we continue to grow this sport. We want to make sure that it's thriving. We're getting new teams in it. Whatever we can do to help, please ask.
We're actually cooking Casper this weekend. So that person, if they're watching right now, stop over.
I mean, you just have an invitation with a world champion right here to come over and ask a couple of questions. So, that's worth the drive up. So that's awesome. Thank you for that, Travis. Man, that goes a long way with these new teams.
I'll kind of cover a couple things like Bill did. What Bill said was spot on. And we've done that too. We've helped a couple cooks out in the past that, we're newer or maybe we're having some struggles and came and cooked with us and, kind of walked away kind of with the same thing as it's a process, not a recipe or products. And that's the main thing. Kind of if I can tell anybody anything today, I think that it'd help them the most. And this is what I work with a lot of new cooks on, a common topic. And it's kind of the tempo of your cook, how things are going, whether you're a brand new cook and you've practiced at home or you're like Bill and I have cooked quite a few of these. You start to develop this idea in your head of how your cook goes, you know, when you put your meats on, when you wrap, when you do things, when it comes off, when you start every turn in. And the best advice I can give everybody is try to keep that tempo of that cook that, you know, as close as you can through the whole thing. And that comes with, you know, elevation, temperature, humidity. There's 1,000 things that can change your cook that day, even the littlest bits. It'll affect how fast or slow things color, and how fast and slow things color is probably going to dictate when you wrap. And when you wrap is going to dictate how it finishes. And if you're not wrapping kind of at the same time, the same process in the cook every time, you're going to get different textures. And then people start wondering, well, my brisket was tender and it scored good this day, but not so much this day. Why is that? And I think a lot of teams maybe struggle with that at the get-go. Don't be afraid to, you know, do some basting, do some spraying, depending on what pit you're using. If you're cooking on drums, don't be dumping parquet over everything. It's going to end up at the bottom of your can and have a problem. But make sure you're controlling your coloring. Some things aren't coloring too fast or too slow. Make sure you're getting your seasonings set without getting what we call a jerky texture on the top. Really manage your cook through that. You're going to have a better texture, and that's the building block to get what you need to score. You got to have a good texture first, and then you can get your flavors right on the cutting board and go from there. That's probably the best advice I can give.
That's 100% correct, man. Right on.
No, top notch.
Now with that question, I got a question for Bill. Just because this is, wouldn't say I changed it up in the open, but I approached the open differently. So I'm going to ask Bill. We all had different turn-ins on Sunday. Did you approach turn-ins differently? And then I'll tell you what I did after you answer.
Not really. We didn't, you know, of course, after Saturday, we weren't going to change anything for Sunday. But the only thing we might have done, and we did this on Saturday too, is we pushed things a little further than normal. I was probably a little bit more tender on the ribs, a little bit more tender on the brisket. And actually, at first, I was a little mad at myself for letting the ribs get away from me the first day. But obviously, that worked out. So, but, you know, it's a long walk. They sit on the table longer. You got a lot of new judges that took the class the day before. If you're going to go to a restaurant and eat ribs, you want them super tender, right? So I'd rather err on that side than the other. So.
Agreed.
It's funny how close we were on that. I kind of did the same thing for the same reason. Boxes were going to sit for a long time, and you were going to be carrying them 2 turn-ins for a long time. It gave all kinds of opportunity for me to tighten up.
Yep.
It's kind of funny. My first day, you mentioned ribs. If there was anything I was a little upset with myself on day one, I blew out some bones on a beautiful rack of ribs that I really wanted to get in the box, and it didn't happen. So I was a little upset with myself on that, but I still had, you know, cooked comp parts. Pretty hard to have a bad rack of ribs unless I screwed up. But kind of on my Sunday cook, I wanted, knowing that pork and brisket was going to go in much later, I did not want to change my tempo on my cook by putting it on later, anything like that. So I ran my cook as it was. But the one thing I did do different, knowing things were going to sit in my Cambro longer, with the potential of possibly tightening things up. I typically don't do this because in our normal cook, I know what my meats are doing from doing this in the past, but I stuck chef alarm probes in all of my meat in the Cambro to see what it was going to do as it was sitting there. And I actually set a alarm on the low side. And anytime a pork or brisket, if it went below 179, it went back on the pit to keep it hot and loose. That's how I approached it. I don't know if anybody else did that, but I did it.
No, but I did, you know, normally when my brisket comes off, we take, it's in a half pan already. We stick it in a full pan, foil it, set it on the counter. Either depending on the temperature outside, it may sit outside next to the drums, or we may set it on the counter in the trailer. And one thing I did do is, because the brisket was going to sit for 45 minutes extra, I put it in the Cambro, which I almost never do. So just to keep that little extra temperature, you know, because we were going to be late. And I was the same way with you. I thought about putting it on later, and then at the same time, it's like, no, I want to keep my program the same, because I didn't know what would fall on top of another thing if you put brisket on later, am I going to be trying to wrap brisket at the same time I'm wrapping ribs? Or, and I didn't look at the timeline and try to figure it out. And I thought, we've got a program. I know it in my head forward and backwards. I'm not going to go changing that up, and we'll just adjust things as needed, if we got to heat things back up or whatever. But so didn't think about using a probe in the Cambro, but same concept of what we did.
No, and I'm gonna be honest with you. That's that's ingenious right there. It's weird how we all cook different, and especially you guys. It sounds like Travis, you maybe hold yours and you don't mind holding it. Bill, it sounds like you like to bring yours off pretty quickly and it's cut pretty soon. Am I right about that, or am I wrong?
On brisket, no, not really. It's usually done at noon, so
Okay.
so it gets rest. I just don't. It can start cooling down, at that point. And when it's sitting in the wrap liquid, covered with, in 2 pans covered with 2 layers of foil and whatever, usually sitting in the sun next to the drum, it stays plenty warm. They don't need a Cambro.
And see, I hold stuff. The way I cook on one ASMM, which is just a CTO with no gas, and I layer it and I bring it down, and everything has to come off going to Cambro because the way I do things. So everything of mine except chicken is being held. So no, I nice little tip there. I might have to use the probe in the Cambro and check it out. So hey, I learned something this evening as well, and I'm never too good to learn something. Absolutely.
So I kind of say ribs are the same with me. They come off, they go on the countertop. I honestly don't know if it mattered or not, but when my ribs come off, I'll just put a bath towel over the top on the tray. They don't go to the Cambro. I just want something over there to hold some heat in. I don't know if it matters or not. I put 2 towels on in the open because I needed to hold a little longer. But
that's all you're going to do now is 2 towels.
you had an extra 15 minutes. That extra towel kept it just that right amount of time.
Just a little bit. I didn't want to tighten up at all. I pushed them pretty good. And that brisket, day 2, I didn't steal any of my knives. I was pretty tired and whatnot. And when I was cutting my brisket, I wish I would have touched up my edge on my slicer. I took that so tender to the point where it was probably 5 minutes from falling apart. But
Same here.
It worked because it needed to stay tender throughout the whole judging process.
Well, let me just back you up on that. We did the 7th in the Invitational on brisket. That's where we got our first call of the night. And I took mine and I thought it was over. And I even told him, I said, we may have messed up. I said, it's great, has a great flavor, but I think we went a tad over. And I think that's what helped us out. So it's crazy we all did that. And I think we did well in brisket. But, I know with Travis, with you on the open, you're coming to the open. And it's more like, you know what, I need to win this because I didn't win it in the Invitational. Bill, with you winning the Invitational, how in the hell do you get geared up to cook the open? I know you're supposed to, but me, I think I would have pretty much said, pop a top, turn in some meat, and be like, I'm done. Like, how did you get the motivation to do it?
I guess I'm too much of a competitor to do that. So I was actually crossing my fingers, hoping nobody would be at the trailer when we got back from awards, just so I could go in and go to bed. And there was a couple of people stopped by, and that was fine. But we were still, I think I was in bed by 11, that night, and awards didn't get over till 9:30.
Yeah, it was late.
So, in my mind, it was like, okay, we can celebrate that tomorrow. We got a job to do yet. And, that's just the way I am, man. I would have kicked myself all the way home if I'd have went out and partied and screwed up the open, just celebrating. I mean, I couldn't have done that.
Absolutely. Well, I thought your buddy Brian, you guys were close. I was rooting for him come Sunday. No offense, Travis. I knew Brian. He was over there. Great guy with Meet Me in St. Louis. I started watching him. He was in the same spot that Bill was basically the night before. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh, my God, I think he may get this too. Maybe I can sit in that spot next year. And I see you on here, Brian. Great job taking third. That was phenomenal. I thought you had a run at it as well. But good drives home. I can't imagine the feeling for both of you guys just going home and thinking about this and looking at those crowns. And I can't congratulate you guys enough. Just a phenomenal weekend. for both of you.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Bill. I'm the same way. I was in bed by 10:30 that night on the Invitational, and if I would have won it, just like Bill, I'd have been the same way. I guess I was probably wilder in my younger years. I partied pretty hard when I was younger, but I don't even drink anymore. I just like to cook, you know. It's the same way. These trophies mean a lot to me.
Yep.
I can party another weekend, you know, but when you're at the American Roll, I'm there to do a job. As lame as that sounds, I'm gonna do the same thing. I came there to win them both, and I don't say that to be arrogant or anything. That was my goal. I know that there was 400 and some other cooks that had that goal too, and only 2 people were going to come home winners when the weekend was done. And fortunately, I was one of them. But I know that it could have easily went the other way more times than not. It probably had a better chance of getting struck by lightning that day than winning the Royal, but I somehow got it done.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why we show up early, because Thursday night, I don't really drink hardly ever anymore either. And I made a whiskey drink and had a good time on Thursday night. But come Friday, it's all business. That's what we're there for. Like you said, I came to win both days, and that's, reality is you're not going to do it, but that's what we showed up to try to do, so.
Y'all have the best attitudes, because honestly, if you're coming into that and you don't feel that you're the best cook there and you're going to bring the best product, it's a mindset. So I think you guys had the perfect mentality to do it. Bill, I'm not a huge drinker as well, as I was in my younger years. I'll have a few drinks here and there. I think Thursday we saw each other. That was my blowout night. After that, I was completely done. I had some great neighbors. I had Pig and Whiskey OG. They had a great time, probably the most popular people in that speedway. And it was very hard not to sit out there and have fun, which I couldn't even hang with those guys anyway. So Josh he's a different beast, but it was really hard not to do that. So I admire you for not drinking.
I think Josh was having fun this year at the Royal, having a newborn. I don't blame him one bit. He's got plenty of years to cook the Royal and doing it, and not have, a party being the first and foremost thing, but I don't blame him one bit for it. I didn't see the smile on his face with a newborn. Probably like winning the American Royal. I don't have any kids, but I'm going to guess he feels like he won that day just off of that, having a newborn at the Royal. I mean, how do you feel better than that?
If you could have just seen them that had their family there, the greatest neighbors you could have asked for, just the pride of having their new son, that great family, just great. I mean, I had the best time, and again, them being next to me was just kind of the icing on the cake. Seeing all you guys, and it was a great time for me personally. For you guys, I know it was. We'll kind of wrap up here and just ask anything else you guys want to add. Cannot thank you enough for coming on. Again, having the 2 winners out here. If there's anything that I kind of skipped over, anything you want to put out there, let the audience know, please do so. I just can't thank you enough for coming on, answering questions, giving some just very detailed notes and some things that can help people out, and just giving some good information.
Well, I got a couple things I'd like to throw out there. I know Brian always wants to put out contests. Coming up October 8th and 9th, there is the Rock Road Battle in St. Anne, Missouri. That's a $20,000 purse, pays cash. It's St. Louis Barbecue Society, which is very similar to KCBS as far as the rules, things like that. But you can find it on there. I know they could use some more teams, and it's a great contest. We won it last year. Fantastic contest. And the other thing I want to do is give a shout out to all the St. Louis teams that got calls at the Royal this year. There was 4, 5, 6 out there competing, and almost all of them got calls that I know of. So that says a lot for St. Louis Barbecue, because several of them, it was their first time out. So
they did awesome, did they not? Absolutely showed up and showed out, and that's what those guys have been doing for a while. So congratulations, all you St. Louis guys in that area. You definitely let everybody know you were there. So, Travis, anything for you, sir, before we get out of here?
Yeah, first I just want to thank all of our barbecue family at the American Royal for stepping up and supporting our fundraisers for Aaron Portage with Lucky 19 Sauce Company. I'm sure you guys are all aware Aaron got involved in a really bad accident. He's got a long road to recovery ahead of him. We ran several fundraisers for him at the American Royal, and everybody stepped up in a big way to help that family out. I thank every one of you sincerely for those. I was the one who printed all of the Cooking for Aaron stickers. I'm still sending out stickers here at home to people that weren't at the Royal, and it's awesome. I'm a little behind on my mailing stickers out, so if I haven't got to you, please be patient with me. Last week was a little different than I expected it was going to be, but I'm getting them out. And the last thing I want to do, I just want to I want to thank the sponsors that have been with me through this. I can't do it without them. Their role in our program is huge. First one is my parents, Duffy Farms and Ray Hybrids. They've been instrumental in my career. Barbecue Heaven, Fireplace Professionals, and Willie there. Jim Compart Family Farms, everybody at Compart, you guys have been amazing for us. We couldn't do it without you. My good buddy Nick Dooley with Dooley Defense, Ribalizer, Aaron and his family at Man Meat Barbecue, Lon Mitchell, Joe Bob's for his rub, Smokey Okie, and Jay Craig at Outlaw Smokers. You guys mean the world to me. Couldn't do without you.
Phenomenal.
You got a lot of sponsors, Travis.
Hey, but these guys, they need. I'm telling you, they deserve it. They're great people in the barbecue world. They help you out. They're out there cooking week in and week out. Just great people. Again, Travis, I not met you personally. I know of you, your reputation. You guys deserve everything that you've earned at this point, and congratulations. So, great show tonight. Appreciate you guys. And Travis, if you want to jump in here later on and maybe put a link to that where we can still go in and help out. That was phenomenal what you guys did at the Snake River party. If we can continue to donate, put it out there in the comments. Let us continue to do that.
I can type it, Travis, if you want me to.
Absolutely. What I'm doing, I'm selling the stickers. People are messaging me with their name and address, and I'm just having them send them to my Venmo and PayPal account. I'm at Travis Duffy, or Venmo. If you send me a Venmo and tell me your address and whatnot, you'll have one out the door in the mail probably tomorrow, because I got a fair amount of them to send out. So
phenomenal. And thank you for doing that. That is class act. And it's going to obviously a great cause. We need to make sure the barbecue family takes care of each other.
Absolutely. We hope we can see Aaron back on the barbecue trail here sooner than later.
I could not agree. Ellen, anything from you before we leave, ma'am?
I think Brian has a new co-host. Thank you, Wes, for coming on.
No, it was all about these guys. You can take
his spot weekly if you'd like.
I don't know if I have the time. He's a natural at it. And again, I wanted to make sure we got these two guys out here.
Yes.
Our two newest world champions, well-deserved. Awesome job, guys. We're going to be talking about this until I'm crowned the world champion at the Jack. I can only hope. That's what I'm going in there to do. Great show. Appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing everybody back here next week on Chewin the BBQ Fat. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to all you guys, and good luck to everybody at the Jack. And maybe I'll see a couple of you guys at the KCBS World Invitational in November.
Absolutely.
Sounds awesome. We'll be coming down and seeing everybody, Travis. So we'll say hi.
Awesome. We'll see you.
Well, I'm going to bring Bill down and Travis. And then Wes, thank you so much for coming on the show. You did awesome as the co-host. And I think you're going to just have to do it every other week.
Hey, look, we want to make sure this show continues to do well. Brian and you have done so much and continued this segment that we've had something to be able to talk about. It's been awesome. Anytime I can help, there's other great hosts out there. Anytime I can help, I'd be glad to do it. So I enjoy speaking with everybody and letting them, bring some knowledge to everyone else out there. So
yes,
it's just a big family.
Well, thank you so much, Wes, for coming on last minute. And then, guys, if there's anybody you would love to hear from, put in the comments like who you'd like to see us interview next. So thank you so much, Wes. We're going to let everybody go. It's about that time of night. So thank you for joining us, and join us next week, Monday night, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time for Chewin the BBQ Fat.
See you guys.